Here we go. We're good. We're recording. Isn't this amazing?
Excellent. It's
Welcome
amazing.
to the show that I still have no name for. So I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Excellent.
I figure I'll just put a title on, and then when I figure out what the name is, I'll say it then. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
figuring
right. It'll come in time anyways. Yeah.
figuring it out,
Exactly.
right? So
Yeah.
to see how it goes. But
Yeah.
I today was going through all kinds of YouTube stuff, and I came across a TED Talk on cybernetics from 2014. And I believe the gentleman's name was Hugh. I forget his last name. Anyways, he had these cybernetic feet, like legs from the knee down. Unbelievable. And that was in 2014. So it was like a short 14-minute video. But I want to definitely, because that was 4 years ago, so I want to know where that technology is now, because it was pretty unbelievable, the way that the cybernetics worked and the way the foot moved, and I was blown away.
Yeah, right.
I was really blown away.
Did you ever end up, was there any follow-up?
Pardon me?
Was there ever any follow-up on that?
Follow-up? Well, I mean, that's, I guess, his business, right, is doing this cybernetic technology. I guess they have, I forget how many, I think it was 1,000 soldiers, I could be wrong, maybe it was 100, that have this technology, soldiers that lost limbs, legs and feet and so on, that are using this technology now, and it is unbelievable. They can walk, they can run. It's the Hugh, the guy that was doing the TED Talk, he actually said he has legs that he can extend them, so he can be as short as a certain height, or he can extend his legs up and be, 6 foot, 7 foot, whatever, right? Right? Yeah, exactly. I was like, this is unbelievable, But, it just,
he's a helicopter now.
Yeah, right? No, man. So, I mean, it just blew me away that there is something like that, and I had no clue. No, I knew we were good at working on cybernetic limbs and stuff, but I didn't know that there's actually people out there, not a lot, but there are people out there using this technology and changing their lives, It was just unbelievable, right?
Yeah, I know. They do have a lot now. They do have a lot. It's funny because actually getting literally, I don't want to get off the topic so quick, but getting off of that, I don't know if you've seen what they had on the whole cloning thing.
No, I kind of skipped cloning a bit. I looked into it briefly, and then through it I came across CRISPR. I think I talked to you about CRISPR briefly before. And so I was like, well, screw cloning, because CRISPR it'll either be incorporated into it, or it will just use the CRISPR technology. But I do remember something about them cloning all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah. Supposedly they're officially doing humans now. And I was up all night and I was watching some videos on this, and I think it's called Gen X or something like that. I can't remember. I'd have to check and see. And they're officially doing humans now.
No way.
Supposedly it was, it was supposed to be just for certain limbs and little things like that, kind of like stem cells almost. But now they're doing whole humans supposedly, and there's quite a bit of information on it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I knew they were doing they'd done that ear on the rat's back. I remember that, and then they're trying to clone limbs, which is funny because we're just talking about cybernetic limbs, but I guess they were trying to clone limbs of a person. So if you lost an arm, they would actually clone your arm so they could reattach it, right? Same with organs and stuff. They could ideally clone an organ, right? So if you need the liver transplant, and it would be your liver, and now the chances of your body rejecting it, I would imagine, would be slim to none, right? Because it's genetically your liver, just a new one of your own, right? But I didn't.
Well, I found that very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't really know that they. Now I would imagine any human stuff that's going on wouldn't be in, Canada or the United States by any means. Just because of our laws. But the fact that people are messing with it, I mean, that's a sticky wicket, right? Because, I mean, that's creating biological life, right? And then what do? What's the next step once you have a clone of somebody, and what's it used for, and how's it treated, and because you can't make a human being and then treat them like a guinea pig, right? I mean, you can't create, and I mean, I don't even know how enough of it, how it works. Like, if you clone somebody, I would imagine we don't have the technology to advance growth. Like, I wouldn't think you'd be able to clone me as an adult. You know what I mean? And skip the whole aging process, and boom, here's a 41-year-old exact replica of me. I would imagine it would be, they would clone, then make the embryo would grow, and you would have a baby clone of me, and right? I would think. I mean, I don't imagine the technology is that good yet. Right.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's what I thought too. And I mean, I know you can't believe everything that you see online or in a documentary, but I'm telling you, like, there was a lot of celebrities that were saying they were in fact clones.
Wow. I gotta watch that. I mean, like you said, there's so much stuff online.
I don't know. There is, especially when it's in the middle of the night and you believe everything in the middle of the night too, right?
You're all tired.
It's interesting because, everything makes sense. I mean, it all clicks, Exactly. But I was watching it, and it was like leading me from one documentary to another, and that's what I found a little bit intriguing, because I'm like, for there to be so many people talking about it, right? That's what kind of looked like, and they were really getting very interested.
The thing I have with that is, unless I see this scientific community, which is probably a bad thing, but when I see them saying this is being done, and it's a little more global, then I'm more likely to believe, because like you were just saying, like, there's so much bad information on the internet that people believe, and because of that, it gets regurgitated, and that sharing, that multiplying of it just makes people believe it. And then when I say to you, hey, did you hear this? And you say yes, that kind of reinforces the fact that it is real, even if it isn't, or parts of it are, but not all of it is.
Yeah, well, that's it, yeah.
Right? So, I mean, for myself, whenever I see anything, I'm a little bit of a freak who, once I find something interesting, I have a tendency of just go at it and get as much information as I can. Right?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. Yeah, like, I went nuts yesterday because they started talking about their model number, and they started getting into some crazy things. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't know if it's just because I'm tired and it's late at night and all of this seems to make sense right now, or if this is insane, And I mean, even up to Gucci and everybody was saying, this is what happened to me and this is my story. And they were short clips, but then it led eventually to some documentaries, which was interesting. And that I would like to explore a little bit more, as I was reading some of the comments too, like about people that were claiming to be a clone, and they had some very interesting comments on that. And that was,
I don't know. I would like to have these people maybe sit down with a psychiatrist before I believe a clone story, right? I mean, I'm not saying, like, I don't know, right? I'm the last person to say, like, something has or has happened, unless I've seen it. How the hell do I know, right? But on the same note, like, look at people that think they've been, taken by aliens. Now, I'm not saying there's no such thing as aliens. I believe that there probably is, more than likely, intelligent life somewhere out there. I just think that they probably don't have more, or they have less technology than what we do, and therefore they still can't get that hump of traveling through space just like we can't. And that's why we've never seen them. But that doesn't mean they're not there. So, I mean, I'm not saying there's no aliens, but I highly doubt that if there are, they're coming here and picking up Jim Bob and, anal probing him. I find it hard to believe, right? So when I hear stories like that, I don't want to say anybody's crazy, but that thought always does kind of pop up like, maybe this guy, and for whatever reason, I could be 100% wrong, and who knows, but some things I just think are technologically, we're just not there yet. Not saying that we won't be, and the way that the world moves right now at 1 billion miles an hour, excuse me.
Yeah.
Like we could be there before we know it, and dealing with situations that we're not ready for, which I think is going to happen anyways. Different technologies, I think, is going to do that. It's going to pop up before we realize or understand how to handle it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I find it so, I don't know. I guess I'm I wouldn't say I believe everything, but I'm telling you, I do wonder, though. I wonder about a lot of things. And
well, that's
then
the
again,
thing.
I am the type of person that will sit down and binge watch a lot of these types of things until eventually I'm like, oh, yeah, definitely. It's definitely happening. I don't know, But I don't know. And plus, there's a lot of things I feel that are hidden, too, like from us. So it does make me wonder what's really up.
I definitely think that there's stuff that we don't necessarily know about, but I don't think it's as big or bad as we'd like it to be. You know what I mean? Because it's just like you look at what is out there, and it's pretty unbelievable. The technology we have, the way it's moving forward and stuff, right? But when I hear, oh, the government has a cure for cancer, and they're oppressing it because they want to sell pills and have these expensive medicines and stuff, I question that. I mean, the reason I question it is if there was, and I mean, I've heard for years, oh, they have a cure for cancer. Years and years and years, I've heard that, right? That story. And the fact of the matter is, I don't think they could suppress it for as long as they have if there was.
Really?
And to top that off, we don't have, people have a tendency to like, especially when you're dealing with something like that could cure something as, terrible as cancer. I think, if there was a cure, someone would figure it out. And not just that, if someone was smart enough to figure out the cure once, someone else is bound to do it. You know what I mean? Because now I'm not a scientist by any means, okay? And just for the record, I haven't even finished high school, so this is my thoughts. But I mean, if you look at the way technology is, if someone figured out a cure to cancer, let's say 30 years ago, okay, and it was suppressed for 30 years, the odds of no one else finding that cure, just because of the fact that it was suppressed, someone's going to do the same things that person who found the cure in the first place did and find the cure. You know what I mean? Just because of how fast technology is now, right? And how much easier it is for them to do. I mean, I say easier like it's easy. I mean, I have no idea the complexities of science or figuring out genetics or genes or any of that stuff. But I mean, I would imagine it's easier now than it was 30 years ago. Right? Yeah. And if someone figured out a cure for like cancer or something, then there had to have been multiple people as smart or smarter that would have found it by now.
So here's my thing now. Here's what I'm wondering, because there was a story, and I wish I would have been more prepared for this, because I would have actually, anyways, there was a couple of situations where supposedly people and their clinics and stuff were getting shut down. And again, but like this was all online. I was reading it. I don't know how true it is, right? But supposedly there was some clinics and stuff that were in fact curing people, and their clinics got shut down because of it. And then supposedly, I guess, a lot of those ingredients and stuff were confiscated and whatever. I think some of it did leak, in fact, but I don't know. Supposedly there's still certain tribes and stuff out there that still have that recipe, and supposedly so. But what I want to know actually is, have you ever watched anyone that claimed to have been cured from finding the cure? And if you did, what were your thoughts on that? Because because I was watching also some stuff by these are all things over the years, so I don't have any links and all. If anything, like I'll send them to you or whatever, you know. But what do you think about people saying that they were in fact cured from cancer and, you know, they traveled and they did whatever they had to do? Do you think that it's true or?
Well, here's the thing. Look at placebo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I bring up placebo is because I think our mind is a lot stronger than we realize and can do a lot more than what we give it props for, right? So I truly believe that if somebody believes enough, that I do think it's possible for someone to cure themselves just through sheer belief. And I mean, the placebo effect has been proven like multiple times. There's no denying the fact that if somebody actually, you know, believes hard enough that they're taking something that's going to heal them, or they're doing something that's going to heal them, they will heal themselves. So, I mean, when I hear a situation like somebody's taken this secret elixir that's cured their cancer, I'm more likely to believe the placebo effect in that situation. Yeah, because here's the thing. If that did happen, if someone gave you a magic elixir and you cured your cancer, you would tell people, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
They would then, you know, want the elixir because they know people or what have you. And I think just the word of mouth of it happening, in this day and age, there'd be YouTube videos of it. And you know what I mean? There'd be people, stuff on Facebook and a lot more than what you see now. And although a lot of it would be anecdotal, I think the sheer volume could set some kind of precedent for people to go, hey, maybe this is something to really look at. But what you get is small pockets of the odd like I'd want to know, okay, out of all the people that seen this person or got this treatment, how many of them, was it 100% success rate? Right? Was it 80%? Well, what was the success rate? And then can we take those numbers and align them with any numbers of the placebo effect? Right. Now, does that give you any real scientific information? I have no freaking clue, but
yeah, it does.
That's the way I would look at it, right?
Yeah, right. It does to a certain degree, but what I find cool is that because we have these two different opinions, that's what I find amazing. Because if anyone was to ask me, I would say absolutely there's a cure out there for sure. It's just being hidden. And I believe that like to the moon and back, 100%. But it is also due to things that I've watched and seen, things like that. Because I don't know if you ever heard of Dr. Sebi?
No.
Okay, so he passed away now, but he's all about, you know, the alkaline diet, and he gets very deep. I have his book and stuff like that. I'm not finished reading it though.
Okay.
You know, so I don't want to like say things that I'm not 100% sure of.
I do that shit all the time. Don't worry about it. Just say I'm not 100% sure at the end. I think. That's it, right? I think.
I didn't finish the book. I mean, I'm working on it. I didn't finish the book, but it's very interesting. And one thing, and here's something. Okay, so he was mentioning that, you know, when you have an alkaline diet, it cuts mucus in the body so it stops infection, things like that, right?
Right. Yep.
So when you have cancer and you have all this extra mucus and, you know, blah blah blah, and it starts attacking your immune system, starts getting into things like that. And so he was saying if you don't have that mucus, then you're not able to feed that infection. Like you're not feeding it, right? So it's gone. So it's kind of like it's drying it out. So here's the thing. Now, one time I had gotten sick and I tried it. I had tried getting a list of his groceries, and I was really, really sick. And I just for the hell of it, it was purely for experimental purposes.
Right.
Because I'm crazy like that. And and I'm telling you, like within the first 2 days, I wasn't, because I was coughing and I had like a lot of phlegm, so I figured it was the perfect time to try it. You know, I'm like,
right.
To see if it works. You know. So no dairy, no nothing, all alkaline vegetables, you know. I printed up a list from my computer, went to the grocery store, came back. Now, luckily for me, I'm very big on, you know, fruits, vegetables, things like that.
Right. Yeah.
So I eat like that on a more regular basis, so it wasn't a big adjustment for me. But when I tried it, I felt good fast. And it could be like you were saying, that whole placebo thing. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But I know that the sickness did not last, and I wasn't spitting up no more when I was coughing, and so that's what kind of like triggered something, and I said, let me try reading this guy's book, because my mom had bought it for me,
Right.
and sent it down to me, and I said, let me try reading his book, because just because of I watched a couple documentaries, I tried something when I was sick, I seen an effect, like I seen something work.
Yep.
And I said, let me start reading it. And as I started reading it, I just happened to be in school doing a project on diet and autism. And so I wanted to incorporate that book into that, but I was using a lot of medical books, so it was a really long, drawn-out project. But it was very, very interesting, because as I started really actually studying this, because it had to be purely, we're only allowed certain sources, right?
Yeah.
So the sources had to be credible, of course, when you're doing these projects and stuff at school. So and one of that book or whatever I was able to use, I guess, because Dr. Sebi or whatever. I don't know if he was an actual real doctor, though. That's the only thing. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, doctor what? Like, was he a medical doctor or did he have a doctorate, right? So, I mean, there's always
That's what I don't know. With Dr. Sebi, I don't know if he was an actual doctor.
Like a medical doctor.
Or I don't remember, anyways.
Right.
I can't remember what they were saying about that. But yeah, so I started reading his book, and so he started getting into, so the book itself wasn't an actual story or nothing like that. It was just, like he would get into different foods,
right,
and what they did to the body, and then let's say, the effects that these things would have, and then towards the end he had like some elixirs or whatever that you can put together between the herbs, right, and the this and that to ingest, for this reason or that reason. It was very interesting. And so when because I got towards the end, but I didn't exactly finish. When I got towards the end and I tried a few things for research purposes for that exact project,
right?
They did seem to pan out, but then again, it is only vegetables, right? It's basically vegetables and nuts, so you kind of can't go wrong, at the same time. But yeah. I started looking into the alkaline thing, and I started thinking to myself, if alkaline, if our systems need that alkaline diet, need that, because we don't necessarily need dairy, we don't necessarily need all these other things. So if we're not creating that mucus, if we're not creating and not feeding that infection, then to me it seems extremely possible that we could in fact cure cancer, because cancer is an actual fungus, right? Well, so it was like, I had this whole thing as I was reading this book and I was writing this paper. It's easier when you're writing it on paper because you have your facts. Like, I didn't memorize it, and this was done months ago, so there's a lot that I didn't remember. But as I was putting it on paper and researching as I go and cross-referencing with this old medical book I got at the library, there was a lot of things that checked out, and it really piqued my interest. And I started thinking, if I can have something like just a cold with a little bit of phlegm, and I follow this diet for a few days, and it completely gone. Mind you, it can go on its own too without me doing that as well.
Yeah, maybe it was just short term. You don't know, right? Was it a short term bug that you had, and it was going to end that way anyways, right? Yeah, I mean, health is a crazy thing. I mean, I've been myself kind of becoming a little more self-conscious the last few months. Trying to cut some weight, got pretty heavy there. And just from research, because it's like, what do I do? I've dieted in the past, and yeah, you lose weight, but I find most diets, there's nothing sustainable. It's nothing I can do for the rest of my life. And just through research, right, I'm finding that, any diet is better than the typical diet that most people have, period. So, it doesn't matter if you go vegan, or if you go carnivore diet or whatever, I guarantee you it's probably better than what most people eat on a daily basis, especially in the United States. We have as much of a problem here in Canada with overeating and chubby people like myself. But the biggest thing that I'm finding is that it's really going to be different depending on the person. So I might react one way to something where you don't, right? One thing that traditionally gives me inflammation, or most people may not give you, right? So it's a lot of hit and miss. The big things I've tried to concentrate on is cut out the sugar, get rid of that sugar. Yeah. Right? And that's a hard one because it's in everything. And getting rid of flour and carbohydrates. I'm not saying don't eat carbs. I'm not saying don't eat carbs, but I mean, definitely less. And again, this is for an average Joe schmo like myself. I mean, if you're, in the gym 3 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week, yeah, you can eat all kinds of crazy stuff. Your body's burning, whipping through it, right? When you're an athlete or something. And even then you got to watch what you're eating. But I mean, for the average person like myself, who, I'm just starting to get back in the regimen of, 20 minutes exercise a day and, watching the carbs and stuff, that the least carbs for me help. And the physical changes, that I felt were unbelievable. And I think I've talked to you before, right? About, like when I wake up, less pain, my joints aren't stiff, my hands aren't stiff, my feet don't hurt. And I mean, it used to be every day I'd wake up and that was it. I mean, it wasn't all day. My hands would hurt, 5-10 minutes, they'd be stiff. My feet would hurt to walk on when I got out of bed for, till maybe I got downstairs and made my coffee and then they'd feel normal again. And I just thought I chalked it up to age. Hey, you're getting old, man. You're 41. Come on. Right? You put your body through a lot of crap. It's going to hurt. And then I cut out all the carbs and, basically I kind of looked at it as an elimination diet type way. So I cut all the way back to just meat, because I know I've never really had a problem with meat. I cleaned my system of everything, sugar, everything. So I just ate meat for, I'd say probably the first 3 weeks, nothing but meat. And then I've slowly started to add stuff. And then I wait a couple days to see, like, am I sore? Did it hurt? Does it affect me? If it doesn't, it goes, yes, I can eat that. I don't have a problem with it, or at least it doesn't feel like I do. And if I eat carbs and stuff, potatoes, bread, I wake up the next day and my hands hurt, my feet hurt, and it's like, okay, so I can't eat that. I mean, of course I can eat it, right? But I shouldn't eat it as much. And that's just kind of the way I'm trying to do it now, is just like, okay, listen to my body, right? It's going to tell me, right? All right, I hope so. It's going to tell me, right? And I think, the biggest challenge is that one thing doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah, well, that's it, because some people can really die. You know what? Speaking of that, I was looking at some diets, like according to your blood type.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah, that was really, really interesting, because one thing that is very agreeable is that when it comes to carbs and starches and stuff like that, it does cause a lot of inflammation. And again, I'm going back to another book that I read, Wheat Belly.
Hey, we got to get our information somewhere.
That's what I'm saying, right? Because I can't help it. I always got to read about it.
Listen, if we're wrong, and this is going to be on YouTube, so if we're wrong and anybody watches it, knows we're wrong, trust me, they'll tell us.
I know.
I've read comments on other YouTube videos. I know if you're wrong, they'll let you know. Even if you're not wrong, they think you are, they're still going to let you know. So like I say, if I say anything wrong, listen, people, if you're watching this, if I say anything wrong, I'm telling you now, I am not a genius. I am nowhere near smart. I think that's half the reason I'm doing this, is to maybe learn stuff. All right. So if I say something wrong, I apologize ahead of time. And if you have more information on anything I've talked about or we talk about on any of these shows, please let me know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right. Anyways.
Yeah, that is very interesting. That is very interesting, actually, because I was looking up exactly that when it comes to the carbs and the inflammation, what it does to the body. And it's very true. Even for people that are having some hair loss and things like that, they were recommending to cut out carbs because of the way that it does cause a lot of inflammation. And that was really, really interesting. Like, I find for me, like, when I eat, what I do, I find for me, this worked, but like you said, not everything works for everybody. But I did, in fact, follow the Canadian food guide. I hear so much controversy about it. But I find the portions worked for me. But I do exercise every day, too, so that makes a huge difference, right? So it could just be the exercise as well.
Well, that's it.
I find just keeping it to about a half a cup of carbs per meal, no more, seems for me to work very, very well.
Sorry, go on. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. I have enough energy where I don't get laggish.
Right.
Like, I don't, and I don't feel lethargic, where when I would eat, like, a lot of things, or I would eat, like, a big baked potato, and then I would eat it with something else, and then after that I would have, like, next meal I'd have, like, a sandwich, and then I'd have cheese and crackers, and I would go nuts.
I mean,
there's a huge difference in the way I feel, yeah.
I used to do that on purpose. I used to, If I couldn't sleep at night, like when I when I worked way back in the day when I worked at a hotel. Anyways, I used to work, till late at night. And so you get home and you'd be wired, but I'd still have to get up and go to work the next morning. So I would like carb load myself into basically a coma and then go to sleep. Right?
Yep.
Probably the worst thing that you can do. I mean, I'm guessing. I've read stuff now that's not really, they used to say like, oh, don't eat a certain time before sleep. And I've read stuff now that's saying that it doesn't really matter, if you do. But I'll tell you, if you want to sleep well, go get yourself like a monster poutine, like a huge, like the big, like a friggin' $10 poutine and eat that fucker. Smoke a fucking doob, eat that son of a bitch. I guarantee you, coma. You're getting at least 6 hours
Coma, you
solid.
said.
All right, I'm saying.
I think that's what I got to try with my insomnia.
Yeah, man, I'm
'Cause
telling
I've had
you.
enough.
Get yourself a doobie, get a big $10 poutine, throw on one of your favorite movies, done. I'm telling you. Right, but
Yeah,
that's the thing. I had to stop doing that. Like it's like I got up to 260 pounds, the most I've ever weighed. Or sorry, 280 pounds. Sorry, the most I've ever weighed. I sat around 260 for years, and then I gained that extra 20. I was just like, whoa! I sat at 260 for so long. I didn't think I could ever really get any bigger. Nah, I was wrong. But
Yeah, really. He's like,
right,
okay.
and so the thing was like what works. So now it's hit and miss, and trying to find something that really I can live doing. Right, live doing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, yeah. And that actually brings me to my insomnia too, because it is so bad. It is so freaking bad. Like I don't know, like I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do. I went not too long ago an exact 72 hours of no sleep.
I haven't done that
And
shit
by
in
the
years.
third day, well, by the third day, I did go see a doctor because like underneath here was black. I looked very sick, obviously, I looked very
right.
sick. And I felt like very nauseous to my stomach. I was very dizzy. I was seeing, when you see those little black dots and stuff,
Oh yeah, not
It
good
was
things.
really messed up. Hmm?
Not good things.
No, it was horrible. It was the most, like I was freaking out. I was panicking. I was like, wow, this is really bad, And I did see the doctor, and I was on pills there for a little while. And
See, that's the thing. I refuse to. If I go to a doctor, unless it's like because I've got some real bad sickness, I need antibiotics or something. And even then, with antibiotics, I'm kind of like, I don't know. Maybe we
do
should
I
just
have
let the
to?
body just take care of it,
Yeah.
But when it comes to anything else, I won't do it. I won't take
No way.
anxiety stuff. I won't none. I've read too many horror stories about stuff and looked at too many just bad situations of people that take or prescribed a drug to help them, and it makes them worse. Or they get one
Yes.
and it helps them, but there's side effects, and then they give them another one to counter the side effects, but give them it's insanity. And I mean,
Yes.
don't get me wrong. I would imagine there are a lot of people out there that it does help. I just think there's probably a better way. I mean, as for your insomnia, have you looked into meditation? I just started doing it again too.
Okay, so here's going to open up a whole nother topic, okay?
That's fine. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah, so I did think of meditation very many times, okay? So the only reason that I decided not to do meditation is because I'm very sensitive to certain things when I'm in that state, And it's even hard to talk about. But the thing is, so for me now, like I have thought about it, and I thought about doing it lightly, but I'll never let myself get to a certain point because of that. So meditation always, like I would always kind of look for another alternative, whether it be like, even if it's over-the-counter pharmacy thing or melatonin or something to help me fall asleep, because when it comes to meditation, I feel like that just, when people are very sensitive to certain things, meditation is not the best for you unless you know how to meditate properly.
Or is it? And it's just...
it can cause a lot of other problems, and I don't want to be putting myself in these situations, not for someone who's been, going through this their whole lives and having certain sensitivities to certain things, You just know when it's something that you can do and when it's something that you can, and I feel like you have to be at a certain place within yourself to be meditating. especially if you don't know
Oh,
what the heck you're doing properly,
I
you know?
definitely agree with that, but
Yeah.
I mean, really, when it comes to the way I look at meditation, because there's a lot of different types, a lot of different styles of meditation. It can be used for healing, to calming,
Yeah,
to
right.
searching for yourself. But I find if
Mm.
for myself, I find now it's definitely given me a place to kind of go over my thoughts. Right? I can
Yeah,
go over my
right.
thoughts, and then once I've done that, it's like I can just release them. I've dealt with
Yeah.
it and I can let it go. And I mean, I used to be big into it when I was a freaky little teenager, 19, 20 and stuff. Big into
Yeah.
meditation and big into smoking weed. Kept the weed, dropped the meditation. Should have probably kept both. Um, but
See, I
uh,
wouldn't. I wouldn't trust myself to do that.
but the
See, I
thing
wouldn't be able
is
to because the smoking puts me in my head sometimes, like way too much, you know. And I
right.
could just my mind does it ever wander with the amount of crap that I watch on TV because I'm into the whole, supernatural sci-fi. Imagine that, right? And then go smoke a little spliff and go and meditate. Like, yeah.
Now,
And being a
see,
sensitive person, I could just imagine.
I anything like the see another thing. I used to be very big into the supernatural. Um, and then I kind of drew a line for myself with it because it comes to that whole belief thing, where level of belief, right?
Hmm.
And I won't, because I can go down 15 different trails, and into religion and how that affects
So
and
interesting.
everything else like that. But with me, when it comes to that end of thing, I don't really, I'm hard pressed to believe anything about, like spirits and stuff like that. Now,
Are you?
oh yeah, very hard pressed. I didn't used to be. No, not at all. But uh, there's just so much bunk stuff out there trying to be real, and it does look real, but it's not. A lot of these shows and stuff you see on TV, if you get the real behind the scenes, a lot of stuff staged. Like it's all fake.
Yeah,
Now,
it definitely is. I have a story for you that I'm actually going to share, which I can't believe I'm doing, but I'm going to do it anyways.
nice,
Let's fuck it.
juicy, juicy.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. So out of everything that we have, we need to get this little thing in there. But okay, so one night now, one night I was sleeping. I know I was sleeping, that's for sure. I was definitely sleeping in the beginning. Okay, so I went to bed. I was sleeping. Now this house that I live in right now, I can pretty much guarantee you, there's a lot of shit going on in this house spiritually. I've had this place cleansed. I sage it on a regular basis, but for reasons that I know for a fact, you know. So that's why this apartment, to a certain degree, I know I have to move out of here soon. I don't feel like it's the greatest place for somebody like me to be living, right?
Right.
But anyway, so I go to sleep one night, and I'm having a dream about an ex. And in this dream now, he's being such this perfect gentleman, where by nature
That's how you
he is
knew it was a
not such a
dream,
perfect.
right? No.
It was a dream. This definitely was a dream. Yeah. This definitely was a dream. And in the dream, he was this perfect gentleman. And I remember thinking in my dream, even in my dream, I'm like, this guy is not a, he's not a perfect gentleman. Even in my
Right.
dream, it kind of like rang a bell, you know.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is so funny, you know. Like I know I'm dreaming, you know. I know that he's acting like this perfect gentleman, but this is not the character that he is. And I remember being upset about it in my dream, and I'm like, damn, you know, like this is so crazy because why would I be dreaming about this person? Now, I haven't been with this person for months, nor have I spoke to him.
Right.
So it was really strange that out of nowhere I had this dream about him, but I know it does happen, right? Honest to God, honest to God. So I'm trying to wake up out of this dream in my dream, right? Like I just want to wake up. I don't want to have this dream anymore. I can't. This person is not good for me. I don't want him around me. Blah blah blah. I don't even want him in my head right now when I'm sleeping. And
Right.
it's crazy how very much aware I was in this dream, right? Which is strange because normally I'm really not that aware. You know,
Right.
like things only hit me after I wake up and I think about it, and and I realize this doesn't make sense and that doesn't make sense, but this was all making sense at this point.
Right. Right. Right.
And so eventually, like after a little bit, it's still a little bit hazy because it's months ago. I do wake up. So I wake up and I go and I get myself. No, I wake up And as I wake up, before I get up, because I say to myself, okay, I'm going to go get like some water or whatever, you know. And as I wake up, I'm laying down in my bed, and I was alone now. And I look up, and I see something dead in my face staring at me, okay? Now, because I'm half asleep, I'm thinking I'm either half asleep or it's my son.
Right.
Because there was no personal space, no personal bubble. I mean, like in my face type thing, right? And I remember thinking, and so I'm talking, and I'm like, I don't remember what I was saying, but I'm like, hey, like too close, whoa, you know, way too close. And so I'm slowly waking up, and whatever this thing is still standing in front of me and not moving. Now I've been sensitive to seeing things in the past, but normally it's a glimpse, or it's even if I kind of get a good look, it doesn't last very long. Where in this case, this thing was like really, really in my face, and so then I became scared. I started to become very scared. Because I'm like, what is this thing in my face? And I know I'm not crazy right now, because now I know I'm actually awake, you know?
Yeah.
And what else is different is normally when I would see something that I'm not very comfortable with seeing, I would have that whole thing where my body feels very cold, I feel frozen, like I can't move. Like I've had a lot of that happening, but this time I was able to move. I was just too damn scared to move, you know?
Right.
And this thing looked me right in my eyes, and I remember saying to myself, these eyes look very, very familiar. Very familiar. I know these eyes. You know what I mean? But I was still too petrified to move or to make any sudden movements, because I'm very scared. I get scared easy, you know?
Right, yeah.
And so eventually, it does in fact move back. It moves back, you know, but at a very, very slow rate. And when I say a very slow rate, I mean very slow. Normally these things move fast.
Right.
And they don't really, you know, a lot of them don't acknowledge you're seeing them. Some of them do. Some of them don't. It really depends. But this one didn't give a shit. It was just looking at me right in my eyes. You know what I mean? And it just slowly backed up, and it never lost eye contact with me, not even once. You know? And then eventually, because I was like, where I sleep was right beside my lamp, and I remember saying to myself, turn on the lamp, it'll disappear, you know? But I couldn't. Something was telling me, don't do it yet. Just wait a minute, you know? Until it eventually backed up to a certain, because where my bed was at the time, I had an end table on each side, and I was in the corner, and I had like my lamp there. And so I said, okay, well, I'll wait till it backs up a little bit, and bing, just flip on the lights real quick, because, you know, I don't know if I'm crazy right now, but I know that I'm not crazy. And, you know, like all these things are going through my head. And so this thing is staring at me and staring at me and staring at me and staring at me and not showing 1 ounce of give a shit that you acknowledge that I'm here type thing. And what was crazy, what made it even scarier is that as I'm staring at this entity or whatever the hell it is, it moves and it starts to go up and into the corner of my room and disappeared. But it took a very long time. It did not move fast. It moved very, very, very slow. And I remember thinking to myself, I remember when I was talking to this guy, and he told me he was born into a lot of stuff he wasn't supposed to be growing up, and that, you know, he was learning things that wasn't, let's say, you know, the healthiest for a kid to be learning, you know,
right
thing. And it made me think, because you know, I'm like, why would I wake up from this dream? And I know it was up, because once it left, I sat up and I went to go get myself some water, and my heart was pounding, and I mean pounding, ba-boom, ba-boom. And I mean, it was pounding. It took a long time for it to calm down, because I was so scared, because I was alone. My son wasn't even home, you know, and I was alone in the house, and I remember thinking, this is insane. This is insane. Like, I've seen things that I didn't necessarily want to see. I've been scared. I've went through that, but this was bold. This was bold, and this was not afraid by any means necessary, didn't care, and didn't even care to leave very quickly when it noticed that I noticed, type thing, right? And so that's, and I believed in all of this from a long time ago, but this is also because I've experienced this from a very young child until an adult, so I know I'm not fucking crazy. I've been going through this. Now I know I'm not officially crazy, but it was nuts, because you see, when I have like insomnia, or I go 3 days or sometimes 2 days with zero sleep, I get nervous to be in that in-between stage, because when I get in that in-between stage of like sleep and wakefulness, that's when a lot of stuff will happen. I'll start feeling certain things, or I'll start seeing certain things in this house and whatever. And it was funny, because I was talking to Justin, and Justin told me he used to experience a lot of this in this very apartment, because I took over this apartment from him.
Right.
and Denzel was here also. So there was the three of us that were living in this house, which was insane. Okay, three of us were living in this house. We all took it over from each other. They all said the same thing to me. Tiffany, this house is creepy. I don't know what it is, you know. So I did. I had a pastor come in, you know. I had them like bless the house, anointed oils. Like I did the whole nine. I would sage once a week. I don't accept things from other people. I'm very careful. I try not to watch, you know, certain things that will, like, I say invoke, you know, or whatever.
Right.
I tried to be very careful. So when I had this situation, because there was others here in this house, but that was by far the most insane situation because it was so prominent and it was so clear, and the way it stared at me, the way that it did, and the way that it seemed so familiar. That was the one time that I had such a deep curiosity about it.
Right.
Where the others, it was like, I just don't want to think about it, and I don't want to talk about it, and just move on, you know. But this particularly has really, I was like, why the familiar whatever? Why was it so familiar, you know? Like, what was it about this particular situation? And they said, was it just, and of course, you know, you ask yourself, like, is it just due to the fact that you're not sleeping properly and you could have been dreaming and blah, blah. You do ask yourself those questions, but then you get to a point where you're a big grown ass adult and you know when you're fucking sleeping and you know when you're not.
But do you?
I think so. I mean, I think so, because I feel like if I was still sleeping, and let's say I was imagining it, which I know I wasn't, man, I'm telling you, I know I wasn't. I mean, like, after this thing left, I turned on the light and got up and went to get some water. So I don't know if I woke up from a sudden sleep all of a sudden like that to do that, you know? Like, I just don't think so, because after I had that dream and as I was opening up my eyes, I seen this thing very vividly. But, you know, when you first open your eyes in the dark, you think you see all kinds of stuff because your eyes are adjusting and whatever. Like, I had a little bit of a light on in the hallway, so I'm like, my eyes are just adjusting to the light. But then it started to make a form, and there was things that I was looking at, and I remember thinking, I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm going to call myself crazy anymore because I know what the fuck I just seen. You know what I mean?
Here's my thing, okay? First of all, anyone that has any kind of experience like that, I don't think they should call themselves crazy by any means. Now, if this shit starts happening like 24/7, all the time, then I might say maybe you should talk to somebody. But I mean, if this is like, and I mean, like, you're one of probably millions of people that have experiences and stuff. This is what it boils down to me. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking you in any way because I could be totally fucking wrong. I probably am. You never know, right? But my thing is like, our brain is so powerful. Like, so powerful. I love doing this. I'll do this, and people have probably heard this a billion times, but it's like the brain in the jar, right? Your perception on reality, right? Like, as far as you know, you could be a brain in a jar with electrodes hooked up to you, and everything you see is nothing more than stimulants coming from the outside in, right? Now, I think that's a little far-fetched, I hope, because I would hate to think that I was just a brain in the jar, and this whole existence of mine is just, is just an experiment that, you know, someone's got me hooked up to their Mac, and you know what I mean? I'd hate to think that. I'd like to think that there's more to it. But on that premise, the fact that you can stimulate the brain, and if you do, it'll show you whatever you want it to. You know what I mean? I'm not saying we have the ability to do that yet, but it will. Your brain can make you see anything, smell anything, whether you're awake, whether you're asleep, or whether you're in between. Right? And that there is what did it to me when it came to ghosts and stuff. Right? I mean, it makes it hard to, like, when you've given, like, I don't believe in God. Okay? Now, when I say that, some people are like, right? And let me clarify myself. I don't know.
Let me go get my cross one
okay,
day.
Right? Help me. No, right? No, kidding. I don't know, okay? And because of that, I refuse to assume, right? I'm not going to assume. But, and I totally lost where I was going because I started making jokes and laughing about shit.
I hate when that happens. Man, I hate when that happens.
Hey, listen, people better get used to that shit in Canada.
Actually, you should talk about what you were telling me before. With religion and all that, right?
Right? But okay, so again, I'll rake it back to our brain being able to do anything. Like it can produce anything. It can make us see anything. And I think, like I said, for me, that was the thing that kind of, because there's no God with a chance of the spirits. Now, on the same note, and this is where I was going, yay! I found it! It's like a golden nugget. I found it.
Right, you know?
Okay, so yeah, and so because I don't really believe in that, and that makes it harder to the whole spiritual end of ghosts and stuff, because a lot of that's connected to an afterlife, right? Now, I don't know if there's an afterlife either, but I don't think, if there is, it's the way we think it is, or the way we comprehend it. And I think the way our brains work, kind of prepare us for that. Not enough.
Or unless it's exactly what everyone. Because you know how they say heaven can be all these different things, right? It's exactly
could be,
what we perceive it to be,
right?
Thing, right? And that is very interesting.
What I find odd is that when you look at, let's say, near-death experiences,
yeah,
and what people say the experience is like, and what they feel, and everything else, and I've never done this, but you look at people that have done DMT and had those type of experiences, and there's a lot of parallels between the two experiences, right? So, and we know our body can create DMT. Our brains can make it. Our bodies can make DMT. So if at the end of life, and again, the science to back this is zero, people. No science, it's just thought. Okay? Mm-hmm. If your body creates DMT, and just before you die, your body floods your brain with DMT, you're going to see these things. And if by some chance you survive whatever that death experience was, or that was happening, that made your body flush those chemicals into your brain, you survived, they would subside and you would come back. Because what I hear of DMT, people literally is like they go through a tunnel, or they'll go into another world and they'll see people and things, and it sounds very intense. And a lot of people have great experiences and deal with things that they couldn't deal with, and so on. And I'm not going to get into that. But what I'm saying is that if it's possible to have this feeling through a chemical externally coming into your body, and it's a chemical your body makes, is it not a good possibility that your body can make this chemical and you can get these experiences? Right? Maybe perhaps.
Right?
I guess, and I mean, hey, I could be 100% wrong. Right? I could be totally wrong, and there could be a total spirit realm that I don't know about, and it could. I don't know. But I mean, from my aspect, I tend to go towards science a bit more, and things I can.
I know, that's what makes this so fun, because you go towards science, and I am totally a spiritual person. I believe it all.
Now here's the next thing. Like I don't consider myself non-spiritual though, right? I do think that there's more out there, and I do think that there's more to us than what we realize for whatever reasons, you know, but I do think we can be higher, we can be better, mentally, physically, yada yada yada, spiritually, because to me spiritually isn't your attachment to a god, and to me spiritual is literally the inner you, the who you are inside.
I do agree.
Right?
Yeah, I do agree with that.
And because I have a very big detachment between spiritualism and religion, because religion's a totally different animal. Okay? Mm-hmm. But I think spiritualism is something for inside you. And to me, it should be totally different to me than it is to you. right? And it should be totally different to you than it is to everybody else, right? And I think, the journey of trying to figure out what that is inside of us, inside of you or me, I think that's spiritualism. I mean, that's just my view on it, right? But
Right.
when I see, like I've meditated, I used to meditate a lot to the point, and again, could have been the pot. You know, it wasn't, I'm not sure if it would be the pot because the pot wasn't as good back then, but it could have been a mixture of the pot and the meditation. But I would meditate and I would, do two styles. Qigong was the first one I learned, and then I kind of used it and, I forget the other style of meditation. It's not coming to me. And then use like a kind of combination of the two. With the combination of the two, I would literally get out of body experiences where I felt like I was above myself, looking down on myself. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And for me, I found that very liberating.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
did you, eh?
Oh, very much so.
Wow.
Now,
I find it petrifying.
With Qigong,
but I'm a
really?
little scaredy cat. I'm such a scaredy cat. It's terrible. It's
I was
terrible.
never worried that I could never come back or anything, right?
Yeah.
I was never worried about that. But then with, Qigong, it's more, energy based, which I really liked. It's about your energy and using your energy and focusing it and using it to heal and everything. And I mean, I don't know how much is in my head, how much, is of what, but I remember meditating because I literally took a course for the Qigong. And I remember going to the classes. I did actually in Montreal. I did it when I was like 17. Wow. Yeah. Or 18, whatever it was. Doing it, I remember being able to meditate, and one of the things you would practice is everything would go black, and then you'd focus and you'd create a white light or a light. Mm-hmm. They'd never say what color. And you'd find like other people, mine would be white, bluish white. Some people would be yellow. Some people would be orange. It was weird. Some people would be green, right? Depending on, yourself, I suppose. And I'd be able to focus on the white. I'd be able to make the light expand and then engulf me. And then I would literally get like a body stone almost. Like when you eat edibles and you sit down on the couch and you feel like you melted and you're vibrating, I would almost get that feeling from this light that you would manifest and then bring around your body, right? While you were doing your breathing and your movements and everything else. It was unbelievable, right? So how much of that is just like, that to me is you using your brain to accomplish these things, these feelings in your body. Right? I don't necessarily think that there was an energy around me that was giving me that feeling, right? I think I was focusing my brain so much that it would tell my body to feel that way. Right? Does that make sense?
Was it an anxious feeling or?
Oh no, it was very relaxing and calm. It was funny, like, after those classes, when I get done, I would feel 20 pounds lighter. I would feel light on my toe. I'd never feel tired afterwards. Right. And it's funny because I look back and, then I go like, why did I ever stop? why did I,
seriously, because that is amazing.
But the thing is like, I was 18. I liked girls and booze. and right. I could get the same feeling from taking a tab of ecstasy. So why spend 20 minutes meditating? And I can take it. Right? But right. I mean, that's as ignorant kid. Like I didn't respect what I was doing. I didn't understand it. I didn't comprehend it. And so I kind of pushed it to the side as it was what it was and, became the life that life was for me, right? And I mean, that's just decisions and so on. But I mean, like I said, the last, I'd say month or so, I've been getting back into it. Now, I haven't been able to achieve some of the stuff I did in the past, but I think that's practice, right? The brain's just rusty now. It's
So
not
I have a
used to
question
doing it.
now.
Yeah.
So let's say for people like me, so I know you might not necessarily have all the answers, right? But let's say
I
for
don't have
beginner
any answers.
Well, you never know. Sometimes we do, you know. But let's say for beginner meditators or people that do want to meditate, like, what do you think are some of the things that we should focus on in the beginning to kind of get ourselves, like, I guess from the things that you've learned too?
Well, with meditation, it's...
You know what I mean? Because I mean, I have an idea of what meditation is, but I really don't. I'm always too scared.
Well, here's the thing. Like, it has a lot to, like, the physicality of it. It's a lot to do with breathing, right? And breathing is a big part of meditation. And the both ways that I did it was all about breathing. The only big difference was, one is in through the nose, out through the mouth. And with Qigong, you actually breathe just through your nose. And because of the whole belief of how that kind of meditation has been built, it believes like there's like a circle of energy through your body. Okay. And it starts here and it goes up and around and down your spine and down past your anus and then back up, past through your belly button, comes up your throat and then to the tip of your tongue. Right? And what you do is when you meditate, you want to complete that circuit. Okay? And what you do is you take your tongue, put it on the top of your mouth, completing that circle.
Oh, yes. I think I've heard something about this, eh?
And then so to keep that circle of energy, and there's actually like levels. I'm really dumbing it down, because I don't want to get into 2 hours of talking about meditation. Right? But there's levels and stuff, but the main part is you complete that circle, put your tongue on top of your mouth. And so now you can't breathe through your mouth because your tongue's going to get nasty and dry, I would imagine. Right? Not good thing. So you breathe through your nose only that way. Right? And with any other meditation, I find it, okay, first you need to relax your thoughts and, breathe, concentrate on your breathing. And the problem that I find, especially now that I'm starting to do it again, is trying to let the thoughts go, get into that space, that black space, that emptiness. It's very hard because it's like I start getting there and then I think about, oh shit, is the bottle of juice out of my kid's lunch bag. Because that's going to smell like ass if it stays in there. Right. So then I'll get these random, just silly thoughts pop into my head. And it's just, I just got to tell myself, okay, just concentrate on the breathing. And you will find, or at least I find, I will hit a spot, that all of a sudden it does just kind of fades away. And when I start to feel that, at first, especially the first couple times I was doing it, as soon as I felt that and I'd realize I feel it, boom, it'd be gone. Gone.
Yeah, because like our brain can't help it. It just keeps wandering, eh?
Yeah, it would be gone. That feeling would just disappear and a thought would come up. It was almost like I'd be like, hey, there it is. And that thought of saying, hey, there it is, broke it.
Right. Yeah, right.
Right? And then it was...
Okay, no, but it's, it's so interesting because it's always, I was looking for something to focus on because it is something that I'm interested in doing, plus to help with the sleep and, to find like a good place within myself. And so I was always curious about it, but I know that you do have to be careful,
Yeah.
So
well, I mean,
because you have a little bit of experience, maybe not a whole bunch, but it's still something that you've learned, something that you obtained that you can help some people with, because some people are very curious about it and don't know where to start. And there's a lot of stuff on YouTube, but again, you can't trust everything, on YouTube.
Yeah. No, well, like, here's the thing for me is, meditation for me is a tool to try to explore myself. Mm-hmm. Right? So I find now if I can get myself into, a state where I'm like that, where I feel that feeling of, where, it's black and emptiness and I'm here, but I'm not here. When I can get that feeling, I really think, that's when I start exploring who I am. right? So any
Right.
feelings I get there, if I see anything, afterwards when I'm done, I would sit down and I go, okay, well, why did I feel that way? Why did that image evoke whatever emotion or feeling? Because I
Self-reflection, right,
think
which is
for me,
great. Yeah.
meditation is a way to, figure out who I am and why I am the way I am, right? Because,
Yeah.
and I've said to you in the past, especially I don't know, maybe because I'm 41 and whatever, it came to a realization that, okay, I'm 41 years old. Average person lives to 80. Okay. So that gives me basically the same amount of time I've lived to live if I can make it to 80. Okay.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so I feel like I don't know myself the way I should.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a very short amount of time to learn now. Right? Because realistically, my mom died at 65. My grandfather died at 55. Okay? And you're probably like, Grandpa's not dead. No, not my dad.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Right? No,
Right.
my dad, not my dad, my grandfather died
Yeah.
and, at 55. And so but in the same point, my father, grandpa, he's still going. Lord knows how. Right? Love him to death, but he's still going. Or, yeah. So,
Definitely.
right? But, so it's like, okay, so let's say the best I have 40 years. The worst I have 20 years. That changed things for me really quick. Well, but here's the thing. I don't want to go anywhere. Okay. I don't want to go anywhere. I love life. If I could figure out how to live, some people are like, oh, I don't want to live, 200-300. I'd love to live 200-300 years. I'd love to see what's going to happen in 200 years. Cause it's either going to be amazing or so messed up. You've got to see what happens.
I know,
right? It's going to be one or the other, right? But because our lives are finite, there's only so much. And maybe, I'm trying to get this into my kids now. And I mean, they're a little young. The Cadence, the oldest, she understands more. The 11-year-old, a little bit less. And the 7-year-old, they don't get it. So, but I'm trying to really force that we need to find out who we are inside us. Whether you use religion, meditation, whatever it is, we need to figure out what's in this junk here. Because if we don't, is it worth really living? And this is just to me now, right?
That's a great question, though.
Because here's the thing. We're born, we die, we can do all kinds of stuff in between. We could become rich, we could be poor, we could be helpful, we could be evil. It's all kinds of stuff. But when you die, at that end, no matter what happens afterwards, whether it's oblivion or heaven, okay? What was the point?
Yes, exactly. And I think that's what a lot of people in this world struggle with. We don't understand. We don't understand what our purpose is. We don't even know if the life that we're living is the life that we're supposed to be living.
Right? I know that. I think that's what drives people crazy the most, is because we know this is the life that we're not supposed to be living, yet we still do. And that I think weighs very heavy on our brains, on our thoughts and consciences, right? Because for me, I am so not where I thought it would be. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I have a bad life by any means. I have it really well. I've got 4 great kids, amazing wife that puts up with my friggin' bullshit. Amazing wife, okay? And I have a house and a car and, the things you need to live in this life. We always have food, bills are always paid, all that stuff. So, I mean, my life isn't bad by any means. It's very good, but I'm still not where I thought I would be. And that's both financially, but also in the old brain slush, right? And maybe because of my age and that realization that, life is finite and you only have so long. And when you put it into numbers of years, 20 the worst, 40 the best, and that's literally what you've lived so far, you definitely start looking at things differently. Now, I'm not like, oh my God, I gotta do, right? But I am very much, okay, I've got to figure out why,
Yeah.
and at least if I can figure out not all of it, but as much as I can and leave that with my kids, I think I've done
Yes.
good, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, when it comes
And
to,
I always used to say like our grandparents, having grandparents around is what helps a lot with that, knowing who we are. Because when Nanny died, I
I
was
know,
because that was I mean I was really torn. Like that's when I started getting into a lot of trouble and doing a lot of things I wasn't supposed to because I did not handle that very well.
right?
However, a lot of people did hide the fact that she was as sick as she was too, right? So that was hard.
Well, and
But I
she
felt
did
like even though
also,
she was as secretive as she was, I still feel like I had a sense of who I was when she was alive. And then when she died, I had no sense of who I was anymore. Like I felt like I needed her, like I latched onto her to find out, well, who am I really? Because I feel like the grandparents, they do offer you a solid foundation of who you are and, about your family and where
oh
you're coming
yeah,
from
for
and what we
sure.
have. And
Well,
so when she died,
Nanny was
I
an
was like I still
amazing,
go and visit her grave every year, man. You know what I mean?
Nan was amazing because she had
Yeah.
seen things, and I mean, she lived a long life, right? But she had seen things, like, I can't even comprehend the stuff that like, I remember her telling me, like, she remembers when pizza first came to Montreal. I remember having that story with her,
Yeah, and makeup and everything else.
right? And then,
Yeah.
like, to think that this woman seen wars happen and go, literally LaSalle and Montreal grow around her, right?
Yeah.
To the invention of the internet.
I know. Oh my
Now,
God, yeah.
Nanny wasn't on the internet. She, but she knew about, you know what I mean? To be able to
Hmm.
see what she's seen in her lifetime, unbelievable. But to top it
Yeah.
off, she was the monarchy of our family. She was
Yeah.
that pillar in our family. Think about how many generations of Braithwaites she raised. And I say Braithwaite, that I know you're not a Braithwaite. You are family, of course. And for those of you that don't know, Tiffany is my niece. Yeah, I mean, she was the monarch. She was the pillar of our family, and she raised pretty much every generation of us, except for like me and my brother's generation down, and even some of them a bit, Michael a bit, and so on, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you got to think, like, when you have a figure like that in a family, that everyone loves and cherishes and
Hmm.
respects, when that's gone, it can
Hmm.
definitely leave a big, big opening in the family. You know,
Oh
really
God, yeah, yeah,
can.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
I had a hard time. I had a very, very hard time. I just like it took me a long time to even grasp the fact that she wasn't with us anymore, like a long time. And that took a lot of going to visit her grave and coming home. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, you go." I actually go up until today, And but then again, I mean, I live right here, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Which
it
is
makes it
not
a lot
far from me.
easier.
But I mean, yeah, I did have a hard time with that. And then I felt like after that, when she was gone, like, how do I know who I am anymore? Because she was also a little bit secretive as well about certain things.
Oh, so secretive about things. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think,
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough, though. I was able to because I was so close to her, we did have some personal conversations where I got her to divulge certain things to find out, but it wasn't easy,
oh no,
and
not
it
at
took
all.
took time.
Oh, I
Yeah,
hear you.
right.
I mean,
But then after she left, I had zero answers.
I remember questioning her about things and just ask, like, you'd have to wear her down or catch her off guard,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, a
Oh, yeah. That's the only way you're getting
good time
answers.
to
Yeah,
ask
right.
her a question would be like 10:30 at night when she was in her room watching her shows, and she'd be like half awake. You'd knock on the door. Yes, and you'd open the door a crack,
Partially open?
and then I would be like, Nan, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes she would just answer because she was just, tired and whatever, not really, right? And that would be one way to get some answers out of her. Or you just have to wear her down or I found, especially when I got older, when I got 18, 19, you'd
Hmm.
come in and sit down and she'd always feed you and give you coffee or
Oh, yeah.
whatever. And I
Yeah.
found when I started getting older like that, she started opening up a bit more about things.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But I mean, like, there's still lots of secrecy, like crazy secrecy in our family, and not because like, oh, evil stuff, but just like questions that never really been answered. Like, who's my grandfather?
I know, right? We all tried that one.
Right? I mean, and I've heard a couple different things, but I mean, like, okay, but how do you verify that? How do you search that out? Right?
Well, I can tell you one thing. Mom did do the ancestry.ca thing.
Right.
And one thing that was very interesting was that a lot of the files where our family information was held was burnt.
Oh, really?
That's why yeah. So we could have done a little bit more research, but it was starting to get expensive because ancestry.ca can get really expensive.
Right.
So I wanted to try just doing the DNA thing and seeing if I can get anything from there. But you could do more research, but it was expensive. But when Mom called me about that one, I found that insane because I'm like, wow, that's just our luck, isn't it?
Right? I know.
That church had to be burned down in Nova Scotia, type thing. So it was like,
that's crazy. It really is.
Yeah, that was.
But the thing is, on the same note, I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, there's history, and I may know some or bits or pieces, but my big thing is like, I look at it like mark from here forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I looked at it, was like, okay, yeah, there's family. Like, it's been weird lately because our kids have had these things at school that are like, tell us about your family and your grandparents. And I'm like, I can give you some information, right?
This is what you're going to tell the teacher.
Right?
Oh, no.
I'll just trying to explain, our family dynamic to most people is just, it's not worth the time it takes to do it.
Right.
Because like we're messed up. Not in a bad way. I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's just like our family dynamic is very, very, very unique in a couple ways. One, because of the diversity of what it is. Yeah. And two, because of the amazing, feeling of family togetherness that we have for each other, even though we're not around each other for long periods of time. Stop moving your camera around. Right. Come on now.
I know. Is it good?
Yeah, it was perfect. You're fine. I was just messing with it. But yeah, so I mean, like, but I've always been like, yeah, our family is what it is, but it matters from here forward, as much as it does what happened before here, right? I
know, but even that's hard because it's like it's hard. It's hard to do that when you don't have a sense of who you really are, type thing. Like a lot of families at least have that, and for us, we have so much question marks with nationality alone. Never mind anything.
I know, right? But see, here's my thing: is like I dealt a lot with stuff when I was younger, like, and I mean, I don't mean like, oh, I dealt with hard. I mean, but I dealt a lot with my background, like where I am, who I'm from when I was younger. Especially like when I lived in a small white redneck town, as a colored person, one of very, very few. I quickly had to realize it didn't matter if I was white or if I was black or if I was mulatto or Spanish or Mexican or whatever, it didn't matter. I was a Canadian. Mm-hmm. And for me, like, I get that a lot. Like, I get all the time, what are you, man? Are you, I get everything. I get it all. I get Spanish. I get Latino. If I'm wearing sunglasses, I've even gotten, are you Asian? Oh, yeah. Right? No, yeah, but thank you, I think. Right? But now when people ask me, well, what are you? My response is, I'm Canadian. Yeah. I am. That's what I am. That's, where do you come from? Well, I think Barbados, maybe, ish. Yeah. Right? We're
it's very confusing.
We're pretty sure Barbados.
Yeah. Well, that's it, right?
We're talking 98% sure.
Yeah, well, that's it. Even my dad, because my dad's an exact half and half between one parent Guyanese, one parent
exactly. Asian. Yeah.
And so I know that.
Right? So I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure we got a chunk of Bayesian in us, but other than that, Who knows? There's white, obviously, some sort.
Yeah.
Where that comes
Clearly.
from, European, whatever, I have no idea, right? But yeah, I just decided, when I was younger and I used to get teased and bugged about being different and color skin, and I used to get bugged about having big lips when I don't find my lips are really that big in comparison to some brothers I know that have some big ass lips. Shit, my lips aren't even as big as Mick Jagger's. So
I know, right?
And he's a white guy, so right. But yeah, I dealt with a lot of that racism shit when I was young. And I just decided, hey, I am a Canadian. That's what I am. That's what I identify as. And it doesn't really matter, where I came from before, because I'm here now. I'm not there.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Right? But yeah, I mean, cause like I said, first thing, what are you? Canadian.
Yeah.
And people get a chuckle, and then it's, well, I'm white and part black, and we think it's from Barbados, so I'm part Asian.
Yeah, and then they take a look over to our hair, and then they're like,
yeah. Right? So, especially when and it's hard because I got short hair, right? But I mean, when it was long, it was ringlets and curls. Right?
Yeah, well, that's it, right? I got curls all over my head.
Well, so yeah, exactly. So then, but with me, you take all those ringlets and curls and you throw glasses on me, and all of a sudden I look Italian. Like,
well, that's it.
Right? It's just the skin tone.
Like, where are you from?
Well, that's it. I keep on telling people what's going to happen in the world in, 100, 200, 300 years when everyone's my skin color. then what the fuck are we going to bitch about? Like,
yeah.
Cause you can't be racist if everyone's fucking brownish white or yellowish brown, whatever your color you want to, that light color like I am. When everyone looks like they have a permanent fucking tan, when they live nowhere that they can get a permanent tan, when that happens, what are we going to bitch about? Cause it's on its way. It's on it. I mean, there's lots of groups that don't agree with it, don't like it, or interracial, whatever. But it's on its way, man. It's happening. Every day there's one more German, Indian, black, white, Spanish, Mexican. That's the same, isn't it? Anyways.
Well, there's different.
But you know what I mean? There's so much interracial love, which I think is freaking great. That eventually, people are just going to be shades of kind of brown, right? Yeah. And I think that's a great thing. I mean, I don't think there'll always be white, black, always. Cause I mean, you're always going to have two black people that fall in love. You always have two white people that fall in love. Not everybody's going to, right? But I mean, the majority will look like this at some point,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not our fault. How long genetically that's going to take, I have no idea. But I do believe at some point, but hopefully we get rid of all that racist bullshit and stuff that goes on before we have to hit the point that we almost all look the same color for it to go away. And I think it's happening. Yeah. I do. I mean, I haven't seen color.
You are seeing it more and more, right?
Oh,
you are
big
seeing
time.
It more and more.
Big time. I mean, I don't see color.
Even last time you were saying too, I forget what we were talking about, and you were saying, well, because of social media, it could just be that we're just more exposed to it, where it was happening before, but we weren't seeing it as much.
Yeah.
But because of social media, we're seeing so much more now. We have so much accessible to us that,
Oh, it's good. It has to stop,
true.
right?
You are seeing it more and more.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, it's a great thing, and I mean, the quicker we realize that it doesn't matter what we look like on the outside, we all have a heart, we all have lungs, we all have internal organs that do the exact same thing, we all have brains, and it's all about what you teach that brain as how that brain's gonna react to the things that go on in their life, right? So,
you know what that makes me think about? That makes me think about some people. This is another thing I was watching last night, so I can't help it, man.
That's good.
But it makes me think about people that do have an identity crisis. I was watching this thing on this young girl. I think she was 16. Might have been circulating on Facebook too. And she was a black woman, 16 though, young.
Yep.
And was convinced from A to Z that she was white.
Oh, yeah. I remember really coming across something like that, too. Right?
Oh, man.
All right.
Yeah, so I was watching that, and I was thinking, all these things are running through my head, and I'm thinking, what on
Yeah,
earth?
I remember.
Because she was clearly not white, you know. And then I started thinking about, people from their past lives and remembering their past lives and sorry, my mind goes, oh my God. So I was thinking about that and I'm like, what brings a person to that level where you can clearly see that you're not what you say you are, but yet they believe it from A to Z. What happens to that? What's going on there, man?
I know. I think
and we know somebody like that, but
I think this is part of the problem we're starting to see in our world today. Is okay. I identify. I'm a black woman. I identify as a white woman. Here's my thing. Okay, fine. That's the way you want to identify yourself. Have at it. But don't get upset when people turn to you and go, "You're not black. You're white." Okay? Don't get upset at people's ignorance to not understanding where you're coming from. Okay, whether or not it's right or wrong, I don't give a rat's ass. If you want to call yourself pink with fucking purple polka dots and you like eating friggin', I don't know, bananas all day, do that. If that's what you identify as a pink polka dotted banana eater, give her. But don't get upset when I or someone doesn't understand why you do that. Right? Now, I'm not saying I have to understand. I don't think it's a matter of understanding. It shouldn't matter to the person whether or not I understand. And that's the problem, is it does matter. Is that people are like, you don't understand. Well, of course I don't understand. I don't identify as a friggin' purple polka dotted fucking banana eater. Right? Like, so how am I supposed to understand? What I see when I
look at you,
right?
It's very confusing.
Like, it's confusing. Yeah. So, I mean, as much as we need to understand that people feel a certain way and, identify a certain way, and we should take that into, like, here's the thing. What does it do? Does it harm me? If you're white and you want to identify as black, what the fuck does that do to me? And you might get these people, well, black people went through all the stuff that black people went through. And it's true. They did. And it was freaking horrible. And it's horrible that stuff like that still goes on now. But on the same note, for whatever reason, this 16-year-old child, because at 16, you're still a child, whether or not you believe it, because you don't, but you are. If that's what you want to do, then go ahead. I think personally, something like that might be a little more for attention, than anything.
Where does it?
What's the end of it? Like, why? Okay, you identify as a black person. Why? Because you feel like you've been oppressed? Because you like hip hop music? Because you like wearing that kind of clothes? You wear big hoop earrings? Like, why do you that's more my question, is like, why do you feel that you identify that way? Right? But I mean, like, as for doing it, like, hey, if that's your thing, then do your thing. The last thing I want to be is that person. I mean, if it's not hurting anybody, right? If you're not out there messing around with people, not hurting anybody or anything like that, whatever, do what you want. Once it starts to interfere and hurt people, then there's a challenge. But until that happens, if that's the reality you want to live in, hey, have fun. I don't have to deal with it. I don't have to I don't have to live with you, whatever. Like, I know a lot of white chicks, and you probably do too, a lot of white chicks that were just raised with black people. 90% of their friends were black people. So they tend to act like black people because and I say black people, like, I don't know, color, like, whatever, right? If I hung around Filipinos 90% of my life and 90% of my friends were Filipino, I would relate. Right?
Yeah. Well, we are a product of our environment, so
exactly.
It's kind of inevitable. Like,
but I think especially with that scenario, it might be like, how can you identify it with anything at 16?
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, that's what I was like, huh?
Right?
Yeah. Now, strange. But this woman was convinced, and it was like, I just remember thinking to myself, like, how do you get to that point? Is it because someone's not telling you what in fact's going on? Because clearly you're not looking in the mirror and clearly seeing that you are in fact not white. And she was saying, I remember she was saying, I feel it in my mind and my body and my soul. And then it got me thinking, right? Because then it gets me thinking about other things too. So like people that are girls that believe they're boys and boys that believe they're girls. And I'm like, what we know it's a psychological thing. We know there's a little bit more, to it. But I'm very curious about that, because now we're so much open to people being other genders or being genderless and things like that. And I'm like, is it the same type of thing, or what are we missing here? Like, where does it come from?
I don't know. I mean, I find it and I've talked to you about comprehension before, especially like with my kids and being a father in a house of all daughters, right? And trying to put my headset into their headset, into a female headset, and it is so hard to do, right? But I try. I should get points for that, right? I try. But I mean, I think I could never. People that are transgendered or anything like that. Even a gay person. I have no problem with it. If you want to be that way, have fun. Do what makes you feel good. And if it's love, share that love. I don't care what color, what sex, share that love, man, because we can get a lot more of it. But I can't identify with them because I don't live that experience. I mean, I can say, that dude's good looking, right? Like The Rock. That's a good looking guy. That is a specimen of prime A beef right there, that man. But I'm not sexually attracted to him in any which way, shape, or form. So because of that, there's a disconnect. There's a comprehension. And I mean, hey, can a gay male, can they the same as the opposite with me? You know what I mean? Can they understand why but for me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why it's out of love. That's the way I look at it. Right. So identify yourself as you want to identify yourself. But like I said before, when somebody asks a question out of ignorance, and 90% of the time they're asking because they're ignorant about it, they just don't know.
They want to know.
Don't get mad. Most people get all bent out of shape. Like if I say, "Excuse me, miss," and you identify yourself as a male, how do I know when you have breasts, long hair, and a ponytail? You know and you look feminine to me. How am I supposed to know, right? So but people get mad. People get upset. And it's like, I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying all people get upset when you call them the wrong gender or what have you. But there are a lot. And because of that, you get people that might be asking out of curiosity. They get snapped at. And then that's when the other shoe drops, as it were. Right? Mm-hmm. But I think, hey, I don't totally understand it, and I'd love to understand more. Anyone that watches this that is in the community, gay, straight, whatever it may be, whatever you identify yourself with, you want to talk about it. Yeah, that would be
something to express.
You want to talk about it? Let me know. There'll be a link in the description for an email for you to send an email if you're interested in being on the show to talk about it, because I'd love to learn more. I'd love to learn more from the horse's mouth, from the people that go through it, right? But
well, that's exactly it. If we can have more of that, that would be very, very helpful.
No, for sure, right? Because I mean, that's one of the reasons why I I'm doing this, is to learn how people think, how other people perceive this reality, right? I think I said that right.
Without people getting all sensitive and stupid, that'd be
right.
Awesome.
And defensive and angry. Like, listen, you probably hear me say this a billion times. I'm not overly smart. I'm curious. Mm-hmm. And sometimes out of my curiosity, I may say things that are dumb or taken the wrong way. I don't do it on purpose, right? When you're asking questions from a state of ignorance, it's hard not to ask. They say there's no wrong question, but it's hard not to ask a question that might offend someone or throw them off.
Yeah.
Right?
It is hard, yeah. Yeah, it is. Because sometimes I catch myself doing that out of curiosity as well, and I'll ask a question and realize I kind of hit a nerve, and it's like, fuck, I didn't mean to do that. I want to know. Because
Right?
how else are people supposed to learn if they don't ask and then have somebody that's equally as patient to explain at the same time? That's how
Yeah.
people learn.
Yeah,
That's how
exactly.
people,
Right? But I mean, I can
I think we
understand
need more of
too,
that.
because I find on the other hand, I find a lot of people that do have interactions, um, they're not necessarily the nicest of people, right?
Of course. Right.
Generally, a nice person probably just keep their mouth shut and go about their business instead of asking
Hmm.
questions. I would ask questions because I'm curious. But if you're one of those mean people, one of those people that are like, it's wrong. And when you interact with somebody like that, I think if you're that mentality of what you're doing is wrong and da da da, da and you're not open minded about it, I think
Hmm.
those people tend to, and I could be 1,000 times wrong, but I think those people are the people that tend to ask people questions or talk to people when they say, I don't, I know I look like a male, but I'm really a female. And I
Hmm.
appreciate it if you would say miss or whatever, right?
Right.
But people
Right.
that are ignorant to that, when they're told that, they're like, you're wrong, yeah, and they go off into these things that they think is right to them, and it might be, but
But it makes people like
but
us
yeah, so now when someone
kind of
who
like,
does have curiosity and is, then you're probably going to get a bad reaction from the person you're asking that question to. And again, like
well, that's exactly it.
this is
Right.
this is conjecture. I'm just looking at situations and saying, okay, I think this is why these things happen. Whether or not they
Yeah,
do,
and I think so as
I don't
well,
know.
because that's the only way to start learning and finding things out is you need to have that person that's as equally willing to give that
Yeah,
information because
explain
not
it. I
other
mean,
people know. Some people do stay quiet about it. Some people because this one gets offended, that one gets offended, and it's really annoying.
right?
But I mean, if you
Exactly.
can have that one person that's like, okay, you know what? All right, you're curious. Let's talk about this. Maybe I can explain my point of view and speak on behalf of others as well. So this way we can all say, oh, okay, now I get it. I understand. Like now I feel a little bit more comfortable. Now I know how to, proceed, a certain way without being offensive. Because
Right.
sometimes we do things being offensive without even meaning to be offensive, and then you get all that backlash and you feel like crap, and
Well,
you're like,
that's
oh fuck,
it.
I
I
don't
mean,
feel
like
good.
I said, like when you're asking a question from a place of ignorance, and I like to use that word because a lot of people like to
True.
use it as a negativity. Ignorance is that. It's
Yeah.
just that it's ignorance, man. It's not
Yeah. You
knowing,
just don't know.
right?
Yeah.
And the bad thing is generally bad things are done out of ignorance, right? People
Yeah.
do bad things
Yeah.
because they don't know, right? Or they say stupid
Yeah.
things because they don't know better, right? Like,
Hmm.
uh, here, I'll give you an example, and we're probably going to go off topic because of it, but so I'm on the Canadian, our Ontario Cannabis Store website
Okay.
because it's legal. We can now smoke
Discuss it.
marijuana in Canada. Beautiful thing.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so I'm on there and I'm scrolling around and I'm looking at different stuff and different prices, and everything's got a warning label on it, which I expected. But I started reading some of these warning labels. Man, are they unbelievable? Like, I don't know what they're like there, and I imagine they're going to be similar, but in French. but
Yeah. Right.
um,
Right.
but like some of the stuff I was reading, and again, I don't have it in front of me, so I might not be word for word. But one of the
Hmm.
things was that, and let me get this out here right now before I get hit with, you should. I don't think anyone under the legal age of whatever it is in your province should smoke marijuana. Okay, that's the
Hmm.
first thing I'm gonna say. I don't think you should.
Hmm.
But on the same note, there's warning labels on this stuff that says adolescence, right? Smoking marijuana during adolescence. And again, I might not have the phraseology exactly right, but the point will be the same. Um, is harmful to your health. Okay. And I'm not disputing that. There's been some different stuff that's done says, certain ages, like below 18 or what have you, it can do stuff to kids' minds. Okay. And I don't know how major or how minimal, but there can be stuff that happens. Now,
Hmm.
on the same note, I smoked marijuana when I was younger, and it's probably why I'm like the way I am. So maybe I'm the proof in the pudding, right?
Yeah.
But so it says, okay, it's smoking at adolescence, and then below it says, 1 out of 6 adolescents smoke marijuana become addicted.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, as far as I know, there's still no evidence. And hey, guys, if you know different, if you can find where it says it, let me know so I'm not spewing wrong facts. But as far as I know, there's nothing that proves that marijuana is in any way addictive.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. So then I started questioning the phraseology, the way it was phrased. And it doesn't say that 1 in 6 are going to be addicted to marijuana. It just says that 1 in 6 will be addicted. Mm-hmm. So my question is, if you take 6 people, will one of those 6 people just be a person that has an addictive personality?
I wonder. It's a good question, yeah.
And in which case, it doesn't matter if it was marijuana or alcohol or gambling, they would become addicted.
Right. Will it in fact be a fact?
Right. And even if that's not, there's no parallels between those two things at all. Just the fact that as far as I know, there hasn't been any evidence saying that it is addictive. Physically, I'm talking. Okay. Physically addictive. Your body needs it once you start using it. As far as I know, there's zero evidence that's saying that. And to top it off, damn it, lost it again.
Oh, I can't stand when that happens.
Twice in the same show, man.
This is the greatness of being an adult.
2 times, right? All those kids. No, but where was I going? So addicting. Damn. Yeah. There was a point to that. Anyways, so yeah, even if there's no parallels, it makes me wonder, like, are they saying marijuana? Are they just saying that they could become addicted, period? 1 in 6 are addicted. It's just some of the phraseology on this stuff, really bothers me because it's here, we're going to sell it to you, but here's a little bit of scare tactic just in case. It's like, why?
Of course.
Why? I don't understand it. Like, okay, I get there should be warnings, you know, hey, it's marijuana. You're going to get stoned. Right? Don't drive a fucking car. You know, don't get in the bulldozer, right? Don't drive a truck, right? I get that. But to use a scare tactic like 1 in 6 will become addicted to something that, as far as I know, you can't get addicted to, right? And then I'll probably get people to go, well,
but
you can
get
you
though? Because
no,
there are some
there's
people
been no
that can't
physical.
go very long.
It's up here.
Yeah, it's all in the head.
It's in the head, and in which case that brings me back to if you're addicted to something in your head, then is it like, it's the best way to phrase it. If I'm addicted to something in my head and it's all psychological, okay, then does it matter what it is I'm addicted to? It's a psychological thing. It's not because I smoked pot I'm addicted to it. It's because right? And I mean, again,
that's a good question. But then why do they have all those rehabs for certain things? Because I know some of them
they don't have rehabs for pot.
Rehabs for marijuana addictions, though.
Of course, here's the thing. As far as I know, there's no specific rehab that deals just with marijuana. As far as I know, I could be wrong. Right. And as far as I know, rehabs deal with like addiction in general. So if you smoke do heroin, it doesn't matter. You can't do heroin, you can't do pot, you can't do nothing. No alcohol, nothing, no pill, nothing, right? That's, from what I understand, that's how they work. But the next note is, I'm pretty sure you have to pay to go to detox. So if you've got to pay and there's a market for it, why wouldn't you, accept that into the market? If someone's going to, hey, I'm addicted to pot, here's 10 grand for a week to get me off of pot. When if the fucker just probably stayed away from pot people, go camping for a week. Well, no, go camping for a week. Pull yourself away where you can't get it. I bet you'd have the same effect. Right? Right? And again, like, if you are getting if you're getting mentally addicted to marijuana, is it because of the marijuana, or is it just because you get mentally addicted to things? Right?
Yeah, because they do say that people that do.
If it was gambling, would it be gambling? It's just like the gateway drug thing. That was debunked. Marijuana is not a gateway drug. They find that most people that smoke pot and do heroin, we're going to fucking do heroin anyways.
Yeah.
It's not because they smoked the pot they did the heroin. I've heard more people say, well, because I smoke pot, I don't do cocaine. I don't do these other things that I once did because I smoke pot.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean...
Yeah, I do believe in the mind frame of it, though, because you do hear about that a lot. You really honestly do. And they do always say it is a mind frame thing, and it is a mind over matter thing. So
right?
I do have a lot of point with that, you know.
So, I mean, it's mental discipline, right? To me, it's when it comes to smoking pot, it's like this. Like, I love it. I'll smoke it if I have it. If I don't have it, I'm not going to run around and, oh, the pot, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, sucks. I'd love to fucking just have a buzz and fucking watch a movie and relax. But I don't have it, so I'll just watch the movie.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah. You see, because that's how I am, right? Like, if I don't have it, I'm okay. I'm fine with it personally. But then if I look at some other people, when I say mood swings and all kinds of other issues, lack of sleep, dry mouth, all kind of weird stuff that I've actually witnessed over just not having a joint for that day, I'm like, see, I can't relate to that because I can smoke all week and then come home and have nothing for 3 weeks, and me personally, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But I've seen other people snap, and I mean mood swings where it's like, I try to say to myself,
but you got to question,
bad, you know, like,
right? You got to question why though. Like, okay, are these people that are literally using it for recreational purposes, or are these people that use it as a vice for something?
Oh, okay, right.
Right? I mean, if they use it to dull down reality, right? Like, I'll tell you straight out, if I'm not smoking pot, okay, I need to be mentally aware of how I react to people. Right? Because naturally, I tend to be not short-tempered, but God, how to explain this properly? When I'm not smoking pot, like normally, and before I started smoking pot, I was a very aggressive person. Very, very aggressive person. And I mean, you're probably too young to remember. But like the first time I moved to Montreal, it was because I was having challenges in my own home here in Ontario. And that's why I moved up to Montreal. And because I was very aggressive. I had issues I've quasi dealt with, I believe. And age helps, right? But I find if I am not smoking pot, I have a tendency to be that way a little bit more. And so I gotta watch myself, right? I gotta watch myself, because I might say something I don't really mean, or I might react to something way worse than what I really need to. Now, I'm not saying that I need to be stoned 24/7, okay? Although nothing wrong with that if you can do what you have to do, okay? But at least I think there's nothing wrong with that. If you can live your life and be stoned 24/7, fucking more power to you, all right? There's certain things I can't do. There's certain things I just don't do when I'm stoned. I just can't. Like most of my jobs when I've worked for people, I just couldn't do them stoned. I worked in a kitchen for most of my life. You can't cook and have 50 orders up and be fried out of your mind. I just couldn't function. But pull back to what I was saying. I find if I smoke maybe a joint in the evening, or maybe a little something, if I get up really early like I do, I smoke a doobie early in the morning, that's enough. That's enough to take that edge off for the whole day. That's enough even for a couple days. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But after a point, I get those feelings in my brain, right?
Right.
Where someone will say something and I'll have a negative reaction. I may not say it, but it's in the old tank. And I'm like, whoa, dude,
Mm-hmm.
they just asked you a question. Chill out, man. Like, take it
Mm-hmm.
easy, would you? I mean, again, it's all in my head. But it's just like, but I noticed that difference. Now, whether that's the THC or the CBD in the marijuana,
I wonder.
I don't know, but I do know for a fact that I'm better with. Not I'm better, but I feel better with, and
Mm-hmm.
I function better with. But there's levels, and it's taken years of smoking to figure out where those levels are, tolerances, right? Like if I'm going to do something that's going to take, time, or I have to work, or I have to drive something or something like that, I'm not going to blaze some super mega kush,
Right.
right? 5 minutes before I do it, right? But on the same note, there isn't a morning that I don't get up and at least smoke a bowl.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, take that as you wish, right? Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm a secret drug addict and I didn't know, and this is, right? Maybe it's just something I use to cope. Maybe the CBDs help. I don't know. I do know.
Have you ever taken just CBD without the THC?
Not yet.
I have.
Not yet. And the main reason is because it's still pricey. It's still rather pricey. It's cheaper to get weed than it is to get CBD.
Plus, it's supposed to help kids with autism as well.
Oh, all kinds of great stuff with the CBDs.
Right.
I mean, you get all the effects of all the calming and the relaxing and the non-freaking out stuff that you get from marijuana. You get all that good stuff, but you just don't get the buzz. You don't get the psychoactive feelings, right? At least this is what this is what I've told, this is what I've read. I haven't used it yet.
Yeah. I agree.
Right?
I've taken it, so I can definitely agree that that's exactly what it is. I've taken it plenty of times for my anxiety. Yeah.
Right? And so I mean, again, like maybe it's the CBDs in it that does that for me and whatever, but either way, it makes me feel more in control of me, where my mind's not saying things that I don't think it really needs to say. Like, it's like, here's a bad example, okay? And people can look at me bad or comment evil, whatever. Now, I am a chubby guy, right? I am not the fittest person. I wouldn't say I'm like hugely fat or anything, but I'm not skinny. But if, let's say, for example, I'm not smoking anything for a couple weeks for whatever reason, and maybe I'll see a fat person and I'll think, look at that fat fuck. Mm-hmm. Now, first thing in my head after that is like, why did I just... Well, why?
Right.
But I don't experience my brain saying shit like that when I'm smoking.
Oh. Really?
Right? I find I don't have as many negative self-thoughts.
Wow. And you see, some people will swear the exact opposite. So I find, depending on if it's sativa or indigo or whatever, sativa or indigo. I do have that effect. The indigo? It's indigo, right? Indica. Oh, yeah, indigo is a color.
Yes,
indigo is a color.
Yes,
stop it.
That's right.
Right. Indica. Right. Indica. So I find, I think it's indica.
Yeah.
That has a negative effect on me very bad.
See, usually sativa... Now, make sure I have this right. Sativas are...
I'm fine. I can clean my house.
Yeah, sativas are focus. Sativa gives you a more of a cerebral high. Indigas give you more of the body high, that body buzz.
Not
that,
good. Yeah.
That
the
feeling.
Worst thing for me.
I love it. I love.
Because in the beginning,
I
didn't even know the difference between the different strains, right?
Right.
And only as I got older and I started to notice different times I would smoke, I'd feel all these different ways and didn't understand why. And then it's only recently that I'm like, oh, that's the difference. Because I know with the indica now, like that I constantly like self-sabotage myself. Like I just think the worst negative things. or when
Right.
it's a sativa or an edible makes a difference as well.
Really, eh?
I'm very happy. I feel great. I listen to music. I clean my house. I've done homework.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was I was fine. But then my brother can come over and we can smoke and not tell me what it is. I'll know right away because I feel terrible.
By the feeling, right? So that's crazy, right? But I mean, that's the human body. Like the big thing I try to like say all the time is just because something reacts to you one way, and we kind of said this a bit earlier about food, it doesn't mean it's going to react to me the same way, right?
Exactly.
It's like if you look at the side effects on prescription drugs, you know, that not everybody gets those side effects. It just reacts different with different people, right? So I mean, I would imagine like everyone's body chemistry is a little bit different, right? So I would imagine, but I mean, knowing that is a great thing, right? To know that, okay, I can smoke sativa, but indicas are, right? I mean, what are hybrid? How do you react to hybrids?
The only hybrids that I've tried was edibles, and I believe I was okay.
Yeah, so.
No, I wasn't. I believe I was okay. Okay, so I've got two different kinds. So I've gotten one that was hybrid. It was a gummy.
Yep.
Actually, yeah, I was fine. I remember barbecuing. That's right. I was barbecuing.
Nice.
It was in the summertime when I tried it, and it was a hybrid. And I got it for free as a gift when I was ordering, I remember. And I was okay. However, I was outside, and I was with good people.
Right.
So
well, that helps. The situation helps too,
yeah.
right? And I mean, edibles are a different world. Like,
stuff.
edibles are a totally different thing because edibles will hit you like way harder than because like
I know, but I like it so much.
Oh yeah, I love edibles, right? But like when you smoke it, it's from what I understand, it attaches to the oxygen molecules and hitches a ride into the lung and then into the blood and then circles through the blood and then hits your brain, right? Where when you eat, I guess it goes into the liver and then directly it's like right into your blood. So it's a different way that it goes into your body, right? And that's probably the most basic explanation, and it might even be wrong. But yeah, so I mean, you get two different worlds, right? Smoking it and eating it, different worlds.
Yeah, and that just actually made me think of something just now because I'm very anemic, right? So I'm already not getting enough oxygen as it is. So that's probably why when I smoke, I get these negative effects as opposed to ingesting it.
Possibly.
Because when I get anemic, it's quite bad, and then when I smoke, I feel awful, really awful sometimes. But then I'll be okay, and then take an edible and be like really happy, really. Oh no, my battery's gonna die. Oh God. Right.
That's all right. Listen, you know what? Listen, we're almost at 2 hours. Believe that.
Oh really?
Yeah, we've been recording for almost 2 hours. So let's if your battery's gonna die, let's call it a wrap. We can always do this again. I mean, unless I can find someone else over the next few weeks to sit down and do this with me, you're coming back. Because I'd like to touch on a few more things, and I'd like to look into a few of the things that we talked about and just get some more information on them.
If we can do that, because I would like to research some stuff about that too, and then come back, like a comeback type thing.
Yeah, no, for sure, and just kind of recap on some of them with a little more foundation. But we'll call it a wraps for today. Again, everyone out there, I hope you guys got something, at least maybe a laugh from this, whatever this is, because we still have a name for it. But thanks for doing this with me, being my first person on here, so that's awesome.
Absolutely.
I guess I have to do the whole YouTube thing. If you hit the like button, subscribe, share, all that YouTube jargon. That everyone says.
And feel free to offer opinions, you know?
Yeah, and definitely leave opinions down, you know, comments in the description below. And if you're interested in the show, again, there'll be an email that you guys can click on. Send me an email, let me know. I'll contact you. We'll touch base and see if we can make something happen. All right, guys. I hope everyone had a great day. Thanks again, Tiff, for doing this with me, and we will see you on the flip flop. All right. Have a good one, guys.
Glad to do it.